Well, hi. So I thought I'd take the opportunity, while I feel kind of up for it, to do the second part of my dental phobia story. So, knowing how to cope with it, it does kind of beg the question where it started, doesn't it? So that's what this video is all about. So if you are maybe scared of the dentist, if you like a story to understand maybe where phobias come from, or maybe it could help you, that's great. The video is not here to actually help other people. It's just here to help understanding of what's gone on. I'm not putting it out there as some kind of research-based advice. Absolutely not. Not a dentist. Don't work in a dentist. Don't work for a dentist. I know a couple of dentists and a dental practitioner, but that's about it. So it all really stems back to when I was 17, 18 years old. I was paying for my own NHS dentistry and I'd already had years of orthodontics. So I was literally just out of braces. I'd had a childhood accident where I'd also knocked out my front tooth and my front tooth was getting discoloured. So off I toddled to my local dentist who lived on my street, and he chose to give me a mirror. And this was when I was having my crown rebuilt. So basically, he was showing me the discoloured, yucky, something out of a horror movie tooth on the front of my face that was also bleeding. And at that moment, the kind of seed was born. I wasn't petrified. I didn't run out of the chair, even though I felt like it. I had the work done because otherwise I would have looked like Frankenstein for the rest of my life, and I liked the result of what was done. And then I decided that I'd need to go back for a checkup, so I went back for this checkup, and he basically tore a strip off me for drinking pop every day, smoking cigarettes, and not looking after my teeth properly. And I didn't like it. I didn't like it one little bit. I'm not saying he was incorrect. In fact, he was completely and absolutely hit the nail on the head. I shouldn't have been. I was a heavy smoker. I was a heavy user of pop. I was never without a can of pop. It was always diet, but it was always carbonated. And I worked in a fast food restaurant, so my diet was terrible, and my exercise was basically partying with my mates, and I didn't really do anything right. I had a high stress level as well. I was working like 90-hour weeks and things like that. So because mainly I wanted the money so I could go and party and pay the rent or whatever, but mainly party. So, I didn't like the idea of that. So I decided, in my great wisdom, that I wouldn't go to the dentist again because there's nothing wrong with my teeth. Except there was a lot wrong with my teeth. He'd taken an x-ray and he told me how much was wrong with my teeth, and I just ignored that bit. So I didn't go back to that dentist. In fact, I didn't go back to a dentist until I was 26. So I get all the way from at least 18 to 26. And in those 8 years, all kinds of stuff went on. First off, I became petrified of the dentist, and I was very, very broke. I was a student. Luckily for me, my friend's now husband, then boyfriend, was training to be a maxillofacial surgeon. So when she saw me living in daily pain and guzzling paracetamol and rubbing it with brandy and using Albasol and all this stuff, she summoned her boyfriend to my bedroom, where I hid underneath the covers. I was absolutely petrified. And I wasn't petrified of pain because I knew he couldn't do anything. He was in the bedroom. So, we didn't have any of his stuff with him. He had like mirrors and a few things that you can poke you with, but that's about it. and he told me what I thought he already knew. I had a very diseased tooth, I had an abscess, and I needed to go to the dentist. So he told me of a dentist, an emergency dentist that I could go to. So I went to the emergency dentist, and she was lovely. She was so nice. And I put every rule in that I could to annoy myself, I think. I used to wait outside near the phone box because it was in the days before mobile phones. I think I'd just gotten a mobile phone. But she used to phone the phone box, and then I would go up the stairs to avoid the waiting room, because the noises, it's not the waiting, it's the noises. You can hear the suckers and the drills and stuff, and it right winds me up. Horrible. And then I used to get sick at every appointment. I would be like ill. I would like have a cough, or I'd have swollen glands, or I'd have something. And then after she left, and she was so nice, she used to calm me down instantly, and I swear to you it's because she had a Northern Irish accent. And you already know I have a lot of Northern Irish relatives, and that accent just calms me down. It just makes me calm. And also because that accent is in my family and it's matriarchal, I do as I'm told, so it was not too bad at all. And then she left, and I didn't drive, so I couldn't follow her. And I went to this dentist who, let's just say we didn't get on. I used to have to take my friend, because not getting on with a dentist makes me shake. Makes me shake from head to toe. So that includes my mouth, where he's trying to work, and my legs are going, ah! So I had to take my mate to come and sit on my legs. And then my dentist would have 10-15 minutes before the world went nuts to get any work done, and then that was it. So he was going as quickly as he could, which doesn't make the treatment comfortable. So yeah, I was in and out of there, and there was mention of gum specialists and root canals that couldn't be found, and there was all sorts of theories going on. And I came out of that particular relationship with a fear of cotton wool, because he kept putting cotton wool in my mouth, and I can't stand it. I came out of that with an absolute respect for the dental nurse, because I couldn't figure out how she could work for such a git, and a fear of abscesses in particular, because he would take some kind of sharp implement to burst the abscess once he'd got down to it. Everything else was painless, but I could never tell when it was coming, and it would make me want to hit the roof, except you can't move. And there was on one occasion where I did jolt, and I sent all of his equipment flying, because it's just by the side of you on a little tray, and then everything had to go back into the autoclave, and there was lots of huffing and puffing and sighing and eye rolling, and it wasn't me that was doing any of that. So yeah, let's just say I didn't feel appreciated. So paid a fortune, got through it, never got to the point where he went, I want to see you in 6 months' time. It was always, right, you need an appointment next week, next month, 3 weeks, 3 days. Lots of temporary fixing going on. There was no mention of like trying to save my health. There was no hygienist. There was no there was no advice about smoking. There was no advice about carbonated drinks. That only ever happened with that first dentist. And then my friend went, no, I'm not being funny, but you're really funny about the dentist. And there was mention of using intravenous diazepam, which I really wasn't impressed with, because one of the problems is I don't like the idea that I'm losing control. Oh, this guy's decided to park right next to me. So I don't like the idea of losing control. So the idea of being sedated is a really bad one for me. I want to be awake enough to run off. So I put a call out on Facebook to say, can anybody help me? I've got a dental phobia. Has anybody got a really good dentist? And my friend said, come up to Fleetwood. Thankfully, at the time, I then drove, so I could drive there, and I met Chris, and Chris was amazing. Chris is now retired, so you can't have him, unfortunately, but he was great. And there was something about Chris, and I didn't know for about 6 months, He was a linguistic, I think they call it linguistic programming counsellor, as well as a dentist, and it was really, really helpful. And I remember he gave me a form and it said, how often did you see your dentist last year? So I put about 20 times. He went, are you married to your actual dentist? I was like, no, I don't like dentists, I'm not going to get married to one. And he went, what do you mean you don't like dentists? He said, we're all right. I went, well, it's not the dentist. I said, it's the stuff. It's the noise, and it's the cotton wool, and it's sometimes the pain, and it's the payment. You know, I feel pain when I hand over 300 quid. And he went, well, how many 300 quids are you handing over? I went, quite a lot, really. He went, well, it doesn't look to be that. I was like sat over the other side of the room. He went, come on, we'll take some x-rays. So he took some x-rays, and then he phoned me up and he went, oh, I see what's going on. He says, you're a bit of a canal woman, aren't you? I went, what do you mean? And he went, tooth canal. You have problems with your canals. And I went, do I now? And he went, and you've also got massive teeth. And I was like, yeah, I had noticed. They've been mine for like 35 years, because it was like 10 years ago. So he really helped, and eventually I heard those magic words, come back in 6 months. I was back in a day. I cracked my tooth on drumstick lolly and half my tooth fell out. I mean, you literally couldn't write it. I was back the next day. I was so gutted. We'd been trick-or-treating. I'd nicked a drumstick lolly, and now I was paying the price. And then about 2 weeks after that, I was bouncing my daughter on my knee. She was little, and she cracked into my chin, you know, when you headbutt somebody. And I cracked 2 teeth, top and bottom. Cracked them right in half. Just a big crack down them, just like a canyon. Oh, God, I was gutted. So I was getting those fixed when Chris went off sick. And he was off sick for about 11 months. And so I got a private dentist in the meanwhile. And I chose this chap that was really good. But these cracks, they couldn't be saved. And it brought about kind of the worst bit of my dental history, but the best bit. It brought about the partial denture that I wear. I wear a partial denture at the back because these cracked teeth couldn't be saved. And they had to come out, and something was going in him. I wasn't wandering around without him. And I worried myself sick about them. I must have spent 6 months thinking about having them done, and then went, yeah, I'll have them done. Twin a pops. So although Chris was off for 11 months, I was with this guy for 2 years. And the bill came to about $1,500. And since then, not one day in pain. Not one day in pain. Lots of tears about having a denture and being under 40. Nobody knows. I mean, the world knows now. I've just told YouTube. But I Googled it. Nobody ever speaks about it. Nobody ever says, oh, I've got partial denture, I'm under 40. I'm not the only one. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. But when I got my new dentist, because Chris came back and then he retired and there was tears because I didn't want him to go. And when I got my new dentist, I got to pick my new dentist, and I picked one, and she wasn't too mumsy, and she didn't have a Northern Irish accent, and she was just a regular dentist. But she was good. She was good at what she did. I had another tooth out after that couldn't be saved, and now I have a lovely dentist, and I've heard some very good words. I'll see you in 9 months. 9 months. So I'm avoiding drumstick lollies. I am also avoiding jumping children up and down on my knee. But other than that, yeah, the phobia is gone. But that is my little dental story, really. So it starts with something small, and I think the thing is about it is it just goes nuts. It doesn't have anything to do with like the little triggers that are there. I still don't know where the cotton wool one came from. It's just like nails down a blackboard. Nobody told you to be scared of nails down a blackboard, but it makes you feel all licky inside. And that's what it's like. So it started there, and I took the kids to the dentist the other day, and I sat there for 15 minutes before I had to go outside get a breath of fresh air because of the noise. Oh, the noise. So it's still there, but I go and I get it sorted and I keep working on it bit by bit by bit. So, and I keep my kids' dentist separate from mine. Always a good idea. So thanks for watching. I know it's been a bit higgledy-piggledy, but that's the way the story goes. If you're someone who has had a young person in the family have a denture, if you're someone who knows somebody with a phobia, ask them to find a dentist who they get on with. Ask them to find a dentist that they can work with. Don't let them put up with someone that they can't work with. It just makes it worse. All right, I will see you soon because I've got to go shopping. Bye.